Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Hi. Hi.
Let's see, we have...
Let me turn.
Hello.
Hi, Brian, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Hi, Brian.
Computer opened funny at the last minute, but I'm good.
I hear you there.
It's like the mad dash, you know, like, no, don't do this.
The day of the board meeting is just chaos for me always.
Boy, oh boy. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
A lot of work.
Okay, let's see. Who else am I seeing here? Deputy Homelessness, Adele, Patty, let's see. And then we have
Thanks.
Hello. Oh boy. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Adam.
Hey, Kimmy. Oh, sorry, guys. Hi, guys.
Hello. Hi.
See if they
Can
can hear
can
me.
everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on a Zoom call, Kim. Can you guys hear me?
you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay?
Randy, you're a little soft, Randy, but everyone else I can hear fine.
Hold on, did you do the,
Okay.
did you join by audio?
Don't want to have to be
join on
one of those
video.
people holding the headset, but is that better?
Can't hear.
I mean, yes, it's a lot better, but I don't want you to have to do that.
Let's see.
Can't hear though.
Richard Adams now sending me an email saying that he has the wrong meeting ID. Not sure what the case is there. I just printed the agenda even from the website. Just send this to him. Sorry, guys, 1 second.
Hey, Randy, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry.
No worries. 971-9876.
I think Mira is connecting to Randy.
Okay, 30 seconds. I just sent that over to Mr. Adams. So let me see. Anyway, to switch to gallery view. Should be on gallery view. 1 sec.
It's to the left of the screen where you can click on it.
Is it well, now, how does it now? I see my phone says, is it gallery view now?
Mine is.
Yeah, now mine says it is not. Okay, 1 sec. Let's see if we can get this the way everyone would like.
Randy, can you add Mira? Because I don't see.
Yep. 1 sec, sorry. Let's see. Oh, there's Michael I have to add. And there is Gibson I will add. And there's Mira. Okay. And we'll give Richard Adams another minute. Let's see if he pops up, if he's still having an issue getting in. I did send him the correct. Let's see if he's. Still not in gallery view for attendees. Well, that's awkward. So on my computer it says it is.
Can't we choose if we want it gallery view up in the upper right-hand corner of the?
I thought it's based on the viewer.
You can choose for your personal screen, but not for
Yeah.
the attendees.
Yeah, I choose for my personal screen, and now I see gallery tiles.
Yeah, it starts out as a single screen, but you can click on gallery view.
I don't think the
I'm
attendees can because I wasn't a panelist a minute ago and I don't think I could.
Oh,
Yeah, once you're
Oh,
promoted, you
that's
can see
the-
gallery view. If you're not, you can't.
oh.
Yeah, it says viewers don't presently have permission to do it, only panelists. Bear with me 30 seconds, guys. I apologize. Of course, this is what would be the case.
Sorry, I'm stepping away.
Yeah, no worries. Let me see if I can quickly fix this, and then we will go from there.
Hey, Randy, your microphone is a little low.
Yep. Hold on. Let me see something. How is the microphone now?
Better.
Okay, great. All right. Let me just see something. Video, audio. Okay, web. That's weird. I'm looking at the settings and I'm seeing.
It is echoing on your side now.
Well, could be because everyone's mic is also on. I don't know. I'm sitting in a perfectly quiet place, but no headset.
That's exactly why. I'm just saying if you'll just have to be cautious about muting.
Understood. Gosh, guys, I apologize. Looking at the actual settings for the meeting, I see video is on for hosts, for panelists. I don't actually see anywhere where it says Richard Adams is now here. Yep. So to those that are watching, I do apologize. It's telling me I see a number of you who are here are only able to see one person speaking at a time. So I apologize. Quick question. There's an 818 dashed out with a 008. Is that Richard? Do we recall? I think that is correct. Anyone happen to know?
I can look it up in a second, but I believe it is.
Also, Brian, forgive me for asking for your expertise. I do not see where I can make him a panelist in a webinar setting.
Oh, yeah, that was a problem. You can, I think you can just allow him to talk, and it will serve the same purpose. He'll be in this grid of boxes.
Okay, let me see here.
How we did it last time.
Okay.
Yeah, 00A is him.
Okay.
Confirmed.
Can I ask Michael Lazar or Brian, if either one of you are willing or able, to just be a co-host to help me manage the attendees for hands going up for public comment, etc.?
Sure.
Anyone willing to?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, thank you, Michael. So bear with me 1 second. Okay, so Michael, can you see if you're able to allow Richard just to be able to speak?
I'm unmuted, and I have my timer.
Okay, great, Richard. Thanks so much. I apologize for the technical bump.
Dude, I'm traumatized. This is all new technology. All my years in the service, I never experienced anything like this. LOL.
Great.
Do you want to hear the timer so everybody knows?
Sure. So let's. So thank you, and let's get this rolling for those that are here. Thank you very much. So we will kick it off. It is now 7:08 for Studio City Neighborhood Council Board meeting. If we can call to order and roll call.
second. I'm gonna put my Richard Adams,
Present.
Brian Carroll,
Here.
Michael DeLazar,
Ryan. Shh.
Michael's here, right?
Hey, Kimberly. Sorry.
Michael's here. I'm gonna.
Oh, there we go. I'm here.
There we go. Okay, Randy,
I'm here.
Alex Zazinski, Mira,
Here.
Raduca, Lisa Paragian,
Here.
Nancy,
Here.
Richard Niederberg,
Here.
Jesse Porter,
Here.
Rick Brosner,
Here.
Lana,
Here.
me, Alexa, here, Adam,
Here.
and Joseph.
Present.
Okay, very good. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. A number of you I saw over the last couple of weeks, at least virtually anyway, during various committee meetings. Moving on to my update, it has certainly been a busy, and perhaps exciting might be the right word to use, last few weeks in terms of connecting with existing committee chairs, talking to potential new ones. And so I wanted to just make a quick revision in the email blast that went out. I made a mistake regarding budget and bylaws. Nancy Kramer will continue, thank you very much, as the bylaws committee chair. We have Lana stepping into the breach, if you will, to be the budget chair. Thank you so much for volunteering. It's greatly appreciated. We also have, which I was not in the email blast, I'm very thankful and appreciative to our board member, Raduca Kaplan, as well as Melanie Winter, have agreed to co-chair sustainability. I think that's great. I think there are a lot of issues coming that are active now and coming down the pipe, if you will. And I am looking forward to working with sustainability and getting that kind of that committee up and running again. Government Affairs Committee, we have a new committee chair. Her name is Louise Weinsaft. She's not new to the world of local government, and actually state and federal, from government relations with, on behalf of UCLA or the LA Jewish Federation. She comes with a great deal of experience in planning and government relations, and I'm excited for all of, Louise, I apologize. I'm excited for all of you to meet her, to work with her. I think you'll all enjoy her, and I thank you in advance for supporting her in this role. I do want to also go over a couple items. Number one, you'll notice that the agenda is in a new format. As relating to giving the stakeholders, all of you in attendance, all 28 of you that are here at the moment, the opportunity to speak on multiple agenda items at once. One of the concerns around the opportunity to speak for some stakeholders has been that with extraordinarily long board meetings that are reaching 4 and 5 hours, that it isn't fair to stakeholders who can't stay on the line or tuned into a meeting for 4 and 5 hours to wait for their agenda item to come up and speak to it. This is an attempt to give people like that a greater opportunity to speak. I want to be clear that this is, as unfortunately a few people have suggested, including on behalf of the board, that this or by a board member, that this was an attempt of mine to stifle free speech. I will say that that is anything but the case. I encourage stakeholder participation and interactions, and I have had the pleasure and opportunity of connecting with numerous stakeholders already. and some of whom I have stated quite clearly they have a right to speak. We as a board are required to listen. They do not have to say something in a tone or matter that we find palatable. During a public meeting, this is their right to say. I mean, there are some limits. It has to be germane to the issue at hand. Can't be inciting violence. I'll leave greater detail perhaps to the lawyers, but we are to sit and listen. Secondly, all comments from board members for tonight's meeting, I will ask of all of you to do one of two things, or actually two things. One is that all comments are to be addressed to the chair so we can minimize some of the back and forth that sometimes happens. And number two, we are going to be timing board member comments. We're going to start with 2 minutes. Hopefully that I think is reasonable for board members to speak. This is again so we can focus on spending more time listening to stakeholders and less time listening to ourselves. The last comment I'll make with regard to tonight's agenda is related to motion 8A. I want to say that I have followed Bank's policy to the letter because I believe that we as a body believe in inclusivity. We believe racism is wrong. We believe in being civil in and out of our board activities as we are city officials at all times. And as such, we must represent the best of our values, not the lowest common denominator. Practically everyone on this board does that, and so as not to devalue how we are perceived, that is why originally I had brought forward a motion. I won't apologize for that, ever. That being said, this policy did not include notifying the city attorney, and as she has only been informed of this 48 hours ago, and in wanting to give the city attorney's office the time they need to review this, as well as I've been in contact with the NAACP, while reserving our rights at this time, we will be tabling the matter. Additionally, I request, so that we are in accordance with the Brown Act, we are not going to discuss this matter in any way, shape, or form moving forward. Because as of right now, again, the matter is tabled. With that, thank you. We're trying out this new format. I appreciate your patience. If it works for us, great. If it does not work for us, I am more than fine to discussing both with you board members and attendees of how we can change it to make it more equitable, both for those who feel they don't have enough time or that the meetings are going too long. With that, also I wanted to just note that as it relates to the other two items, 4C and D in the consent calendar, Mr. Richard Adams has requested that those items be moved to the discussion calendar and not voted on in a single block. So those will be moved to the discussion calendar. With that, I would request that the attendees in terms of public multiple agenda item comments, as the instructions are, a member of the public wishing to speak on more than one agenda item shall limit your remarks to a total of 5 minutes. Comments by members of the public who want to speak on all items for up to 5 minutes at one time can choose to speak now. And of course, you will also be allowed to make general public comments on non-agenda items towards the end of the meeting. So at this time, I'd like to open public comment. And so if you have a public comment.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
It's Richard Adams. Two things, well, a couple things, real fast. One, this is the time, when time is up, you said 2 minutes.
Okay, so for this. Sure, thank you, Richard.
Second of all, how does this, I forget from last time, what button do I push on the phone to raise my hand so I don't have to jump in like this?
No, certainly. I appreciate the question, and it's good because there are other call-in listeners. To raise your hand, if you are calling in, you will press *9 to raise your hand, *9 to lower your hand, *6 to mute yourself or unmute yourself. Again, *9 to raise your hand. So at this time.
And one last thing that's historical. In the past, we have had co-chairs, and occasionally that leads to power struggles between person A and person B. best practice from what I've seen, not only with the SCNC but others, is to have a chair and a vice chair. You, of course, as president, can do anything you want, but I would politely suggest, based on decades of experience, that's probably a better way to go. And with that, I'm done.
Duly noted. Thank you for the input. Rick Rosner.
Yeah, can we think about, once it gets to be super late, limiting comments? Like, if it gets to be 10 p.m., can we limit everybody's comments to a minute?
So as we go, that can be adjusted by the presiding officer, which is me. So again, my goal is to allow members of the public to speak. So we'll do our best, and we do that by being succinct ourselves and when we speak. So thank you. So with that, I want to move to open public comment on agenda items. And so if you are an attendee at this time, if you can please raise your hand. I see a few hands going up. So we'll start with Alan Diamond, president of the SCRA. Alan, if you want to unmute yourself, go ahead, and your time will begin once you start speaking.
I do not see him in the list. He actually dropped off the attendees.
Let me see.
Okay,
Oh, wait.
okay.
Oh, there you are. Go ahead.
Okay, here I am. Good evening, everybody. I'm known to several members of the board from past experiences. Had the pleasure of working with them, like Alex over there, Save Water Canyon, and Alexa has been to some of our community meetings. I just wanted to stop by and say welcome and congratulations to the whole board. And we're really looking forward to working with this new board as we go forward. We have a lot of work ahead of us. And I think between your group and our group, the Studio City Residents Association, which I'm the president of, we represent about 2,200 stakeholders. And so you get a sense of who we are and how we operate. Totally open. And I will stress that we represent the residents. We're not a homeowners association. If you live in Studio City, then you are, by that name alone, are a member of the SCRA, and we are advocates for the renters, everybody who's here, and we will bring their concerns to you people to discuss and try to seek out solutions as we go forward. And we're looking forward to working with you as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, for the warm comments. We look forward to working with you as well. Other hands up, I see a Deborah Campbell.
Hi. The only thing I was going to comment on is on the discussion calendar number 5C. You're discussing a water route issue that is in front of my house and my neighbors. The address is written as 4538, but the actual address is 4548. So I just wanted to make that change, and that's all.
Great, thank you very much, Deborah. I'm glad we can put this forward, and I will make that. Since I'm bringing that forward, assuming it gets seconded, I will make that change to 4548 Morse Avenue.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Okay. Are there any other attendees who wish to make a public comment at this time? Okay, I see a hand raised by Scott Mandel. Scott, whenever you're ready. You're muted, my friend.
There we go. On my agenda, what the person just brought up about the mosquito-ridden street gutter was 8C, but I want to sort of add to that. Those are the types of quality of life issues I like to see listed on the agenda and handled by the neighborhood council. It gives us on the outside looking in sort of hope that there's someone listening. It may sound like a item to some people. It's not to those of us who are in direct proximity. And as far as outreach goes, I would like to see a lot more of items like that placed on the agenda, or have stakeholders like me able to be informed of that you guys hear our problems and are at least doing something about them. And also on 4D, at least that's what it is on my agenda, is there a pilot program anywhere in the country that has an unarmed response unit similar to what is being proposed to handle these types of incidents that LAPD armed officers are handling now? I'd like to read up on that, and I can't find anything anywhere that is similar. Last on that issue, those calling for funding, that won't satisfy the activists. So what's the step in preventing them from their ultimate goal, or some of them, their ultimate goal is complete defunding of the police department. Now, I'll save the rest of my time for 9 for general later. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Scott. I appreciate that. Thank you for your comments. We have, okay, so we have, sorry. Mr. Goat, would you like to identify yourself? Okay, speak whenever you're ready.
You have to unmute, then you can go.
And then he was gone.
No, he's
still here.
Oh, okay.
Can I say one thing really quick? Could everyone just mute unless you're going to be speaking, because we're going to get dropouts. If someone's in the background that a dog barks, it's going to drop off the speaker who's trying to speak, because we don't have the duplex.
Okay, Mr. Goat, please feel free to go ahead to begin your comments whenever
Was he muted, or did he just do his 2 minutes?
Well, it's up to 5 minutes.
Okay.
He's got about a minute left.
Well, somebody muted him.
Whoever please unmute him.
Point of order, this is not an agenda item either.
I was just going to say, I was about to say that, that it's not germane, as wonderful as the barking is.
First Amendment is the First Amendment.
That is correct. I'm not denying him his right to speak. In fact, I'm asking him to unmute. But public comment for agenda items the comments have to pertain to an agenda item.
No disagreement here.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Goat, if you can hear me, I'm attempting to unmute you. You have to simply hit unmute. Michael, are you able to unmute him?
I can only ask him to unmute. I can't physically unmute him.
Seems like he dropped off.
I'm showing that he's still there, but
he's still here.
Okay. Okay. We'll try to come back to him. We'll try to come back to him in a moment. There's another hand raised by a call-in user, I see. So if call-in user number 1, if you're able to unmute him, Michael, do you see him on the attendee side? Call-in user, go ahead. Would you care to identify yourself?
Thank you very much. Is this Mr. Freed?
It is.
Hi, Mr. Freed. My name is Richard Hopp. I requested your points of authority regarding limiting an aggregate of 5 minutes. Several other neighborhood councils have done this, in which I sent my points of authority, in which you're not allowed to do that. If you did get a legal response on this, I would like to know if it was Miss Rudin, and I will contact her to tell her you can't do stuff like this. There's several Court of Appeal opinions. Even one of them is addresses regarding your former board member Prevlin about this. So you have not been, you've created no outreach towards me or dialogue regarding the points of authority or any type of citations to maybe even correct me, but I'm pretty right. That's why other neighborhood councils don't do it. It appears that you want to be unique. You're more than welcome to. You could take this and tell your attorney that I'm being very obnoxious, anti-Semitic, homophobic, and everything else in the book to defend your position. I've asked for the points of authority or a citation that allows this. And if you want to say, based on your bylaws, there's something called preemption. And you never asked me what my points of authorities were, which I've already written about this. And I would like to know, and you probably won't respond, is did council advise you were allowed to do this? Thank you.
What was his name?
Richard Hopp. Gibson, are you interested in weighing in or no?
In this matter, no, we're not going to weigh in. We just want to thank the stakeholder for his input, and we'll keep the meeting going.
Very good. Okay, so going back to, let's see if he is still here. It looks like he may have in fact dropped off. If anyone wants a quick gander of if the goat, okay, the goat has returned. I do want to, he had his hand up originally, so I do want to come back to him and give him the opportunity to speak. Okay. Michael, are you unable to mute Mr. Goat?
I can only ask to unmute. He has to unmute himself if he wants to speak.
We'll give him 30 more seconds.
Stakeholder with the name William Goat, you are able to unmute yourself. Please take an opportunity to finish your public comment if you may so. The board has provided you with the opportunity. Please go ahead and unmute yourself. Once again, William Goat, please take the chance to unmute yourself if you're able to.
Okay, it appears at this time he does not want to do that. So are there any other, is there any other public comment for this period? Calling user 1, we already heard from you. So we will move on to the next agenda item, moving to the consent calendar.
Is that, Randy, just real quick, is that a different call-in user number 1? Could there be 2 names? I just don't know.
You know what? That's a good point. So let's err on the side of caution. If you can speak to him or unmute him, please. Call-in user number 1.
Yes, board member, sir. I'd like to talk about the next item. I did not use, the items are separate. You never told me that I had to use them all at one time.
So as it states on our agenda, and actually as I read the multiple...
Sir, it's vague, ambiguous, overbroad. It does not strike anything that would be reasonable and under plain use language. If you really want to do, I'll just file a grievance, and after it's denied, go straight to court. There's a problem with this. It really is. And it appears that the other board member does not want to address it. Do as you wish. Thank you.
Mr. Hopp, you still have more time left if you wish to use more time of the 5 minutes.
No, you've denied it. You've denied it. You've stated that you've denied it. very clear on that, sir. And you know what? We should not really debate. Who is the attorney? Which city attorney do you deal with? I'll just contact them directly. I don't feel comfortable dealing. What, sir?
The name of the city attorney representing neighborhood councils, her name is Elise Rudin. The gentleman speaking
Rudin,
before,
okay.
you identified
Okay,
as
I'll contact her directly, and I assume this is being recorded. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. The other gentleman speaking.
Okay, I'll send her a request for the recording. We'll go in that direction, and then we'll do that. Just make sure to tell her that I was being obnoxious, threatening, and whatever else that you want to do, trying to make your narrative and channel. You have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just point of clarification, though, for your information, the last gentleman speaking that was not another board member, that was actually Gibson Yambura, who is a representative from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Mr. Goat has his hand up, so can we try to unmute him? Michael?
He is unmuted.
Mr. Goat, please go ahead. I apologize. Your 5 minutes will start when you begin speaking.
He needs to unmute himself again. Wait, do you know the code for phones for?
To unmute, I believe, is *6.
Yes, I just figured that out the hard way.
It looks like he is dropped off again. I just want to make sure we're not. Oh, no. There he was again. Please go ahead, Mr. Goat. When you're ready, your 5 minutes will begin speaking.
So I just want to be clear. How many fucking minutes do I still have on this meeting? I'm not really clear on how this illegal meeting's being conducted. I don't know. You get penalized if you speak against items other than one item. Then you put general comment all the way at the back. And you got the little shit over there that wants to limit that to 1 minute because it's constructed in a way that it will be limited to 1 minute, so that's discrimination. Then you agendize your meeting illegally. You put webinar ID number 950-995-44795 at the bottom, and that is not the right webinar number. Did you know that, Mr. Nayumura, that they put a fake webinar ID number for people to dial in? That's so Mr. Adams could be late to the meeting, but luckily I think somebody told him the time, otherwise that would have been a big kerfuffle. So how do we do this illegal meeting, Mr. Nayambura? Are we going to have 30 seconds per item, 45 seconds per item, 1 minute per item? How do we divide that up? Because I'm not really clear. My dog barked. I don't know if my microphone was on. Does that count as time against the total? And then you and your little 8A, you want the timekeeper, and you said that the NAACP had to be called, and that there's the lowest common denominator, and somebody's racist. So that is more inferences against Richard Adams. You are slandering him by doing that more. And then, of course, that's another vague reference to yours truly. You know, you guys and you are done. You guys are nothing but pay-to-play scheme artists, because what you want to do is you want to cleanse this entire SCNC process so these little fucking developers can come in here with their land use motions and get their little unanimous votes, okay? So you can feign FEIGN that there's community support for crap like that, okay? So that's all you're doing here. And Jessica Fugate, I left a message with Paul Krikorian's office. We wanted her to be cross-examined. Why did she start agenda item 8A back last year? Why are council staffers going to use NCs to silence people who are not effectively satisfied with the rotten service provided by our city family? And that's exactly what you did. You're having the matter discussions verbally that you're going to, quote, take care of it. You were going to take care of Richard Adams. How are you going to take care of Richard Adams, huh? Were you going to take care of it by buying him a cup of coffee, or were you going to take care of it by digging a hole all the way up a knee natch and putting him in that goddamn hole? What did you mean by taking care? You don't take care of shit. You don't even know how to take care of agendizing your own meeting. You're so fucking concerned with retaliation, you can't even figure out your own agenda's illegally posted. This meeting should have been canceled. It should be canceled. There should be damages paid to all of us. All of us that got to sit here and watch Paul Martin Krikorian in 2013, his motion named by the FBI in the indictment of Jose Huizar as the beginning of the pay-to-play scheme. All right? And the city clerk hit it. I found it. I got it. And I'm going to send it to you later when you ask me nicely. Okay? So that's what you do with your meetings. So while you're sitting around retaliating against an honorably discharged veteran, a guy that busts his ass, you remember all the times he catered your meetings? He was the only one to drive his truck, and he caters your meetings. He picks up trash after you guys. All of those years. And this is how you treat the guy. He's a racist. You have to call the NAACP. You got to censure him. No, the only people that need to be censured is you, Mr. Nyambura, you, Jessica Fugate. I moved to censor both of you. You both need to be censored and get the fuck out of this city. That's what you need to do. Get the fuck out, because we got
Your time has expired. Thank you very much for your comments.
We got work to do. You gotta clean up the fucking cesspool of corruption.
I'm sorry, I had muted myself to avoid feedback, but yes, time is up.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, there is another hand raised. He still has time. Oh, no, that's your hand up, Richard. I apologize.
Yeah, I stuck it up by accident.
No, it's okay. I'm going to lower that, okay?
Not a problem.
Thank you, sir. We have a call-in user 3 for public comment. Michael, if you can unmute call user 3 whenever you're ready, please go ahead.
Okay, I'm coming down.
Call-in user number 3. Call number 3. Call-in user 3, you're unmuted. We can go ahead and mute caller and user 3. We'll try again in a moment. Okay. Are there any other attendees? 987.
Randy, can you make me co-host real quick?
Oh, can I make you host?
Co-host.
Sure. Absolutely.
And we can demote the 2 callers back to attendees.
Yes, please do.
And fuck you.
They don't have that ability.
So fuck yourself.
I think they would take a software upgrade.
I think we can continue on with the meeting.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we have 2 items on the consent calendar. For those of you unfamiliar, basically, as it says, the following items are treated as a single item and acted with 1 vote, unless a board member or a stakeholder requests that an item be placed on the discussion calendar. We've had public comment, and there was no request of that nature. Of course, we did have, as I said at the beginning, Richard Adams would like to move items 4C and D into discussion calendar. So I'd like to move to a vote on, unless someone has something to say regarding approval of the minutes for the May board meeting and approval of minutes for the June board meeting. Is there any objections? Hearing none, they are approved. We have a few announcements from, moving on to agenda item number 5, we have announcements from governmental representatives. We will begin with, I do see that she's here. We have Jessica Fugate, Field Deputy for Councilman Paul Krikorian. If we can unmute her, if she has a report on behalf of C2.
Are you censoring it? Jessica Fugate starts censorship.
Hi, Jessica, you're unmuted whenever you're ready.
Hi, Randy. How are you?
Good, thank you.
All right. So not much has been going on for the past 2 weeks because council's on recess. We'll be back in a few weeks on that. I am, like many other people, we're still working, working long hours trying to help everybody. We're still doing fielding, so if there's any particular issue, I do see feedback. I do see some on number 8C, so I'll take a look at that issue. Our office actually keeps a very long list of any locations over years that are susceptible to potential mosquitoes. We actually already sent that over to the county vector control. So I'll double check that this location was on that list, and I can touch base with you about that. In terms of items that have been coming up from constituents, I've been getting quite a bit of phone calls and emails about homelessness, whether or not the city is still doing cleanups. We are. So let me rephrase this. Each council district has taken its own decision as to what they want to do. So Council District 4, for instance, is not doing that. Our office is. We're still sending locations to our Care and Care Plus teams through sanitation. They will go to different locations and they will do outreach, but also have to be mindful because of COVID. They are not technically going to be removing a lot of the more bulkier items, and that's A, because of COVID, and B, because of a lawsuit that we're still dealing with, a more recent one. The state is no longer doing any cleanups whatsoever, so that's anything near a highway, a freeway overpass. There's a location that has been pretty prevalent, which Randy, you'll recall because we had a cleanup. It was our station area for our cleanup in November. It was the parking lot that's actually a county-owned parking lot. It's near the 101 entrance on Ventura. That parking lot is now home to several vehicles and RVs of people who are living there. I notified the county as well as the state, and they have sent some outreach people. I do not know the updates from those yet. They haven't gotten back to me. But that parking lot is technically a county parking lot. It's oftentimes rented out by Hollywood Bowl, but there's no bowl, so there won't be that this year. That is most of what I'm getting is homelessness and standing water concerns, because it is that time of year. I actually was out earlier today fielding and I actually found a location where I saw a man emptying his pool water and it caused a significant amount of water out in the community. So I'm going to report that person. So if you ever see anything in action or might think it's a location, let me know and I can report it to not just have a street inspection, but also potentially report the person for overwatering through DWP. Other major issues. Just basically keeping up with information that comes out consistently because the state was doing very well initially in their reverse course, and now we're going back on lockdown So we still are getting calls from individuals about paying their rent and inability to pay rent. City Council approved, of course, it's never going to be enough money, but approved some money to assist people. And the website, HCID website, got so many people on it that it crashed. So we're still recommending people still apply. They can make a phone call and they will shut down the applications, I believe by the end of the week. And then they will just do a lottery essentially of the people who applied and then notify people. Good news, the senior meal program that our office created essentially that is funded through FEMA, which is a federal agency, expanded through the rest of July. So that means we'll be able to help feed more seniors who had applied for the program and initially did not qualify. So that's some good news. So if you know anyone who is over the age of 65 or over age of 60 who is immunocompromised, if you can send that to me and I will try to get them on the program. And if I cannot, there's other places that I can send you, which I'll help with that. I don't just pass people along. I usually like to connect people with individuals so that you don't play the game of talking to voicemails. And I think, oh, and we had a nice thing happen, but we were not made aware of this in advance. A street in Studio City received what we call Cool Pavement, which is a program that is run by Streets LA, and it is a pilot program. They don't tell us where they're doing it, when they're doing it. They just did it and didn't notify anyone in our office. So there's a street in Studio City that now has a cool pavement, which results in the temperature decrease of about close to 30%. I can get you the exact figure, but and that's a pilot. They choose the streets. I don't know any of the logic behind how they choose it, but there is one in our district now. I think that's all I can think of right now.
Well, that's a lot. So thank you very much. Again, of course, if anyone has any concerns, you're always available by email. And thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I know we also have, and I've already promoted them, we have Logan Smith from Assemblyman Nazarian's office. Logan, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Randy. For those of you who don't know me, it's Logan Smith, Field Representative with Assemblymember Audrey Nazarian's office for Studio City. As always, thank you to the council for the opportunity to give you guys an update on what we've been working on. Our primary focus right now has been responding to the needs of our constituents during the ongoing COVID-19 epidemic. If you read the LA Times this week, you might have heard we've been assisting folks who are trying to navigate the absolute gauntlet that is the unemployment insurance system. We have assisted several hundred people with their claims so far, but we receive dozens upon dozens of requests just about every hour of the day for assistance, and the EDD office we work with has a backlog of more than 10,000 cases. So if you've been in touch with us and you're still waiting, please know we're as frustrated as you are. As soon as they get back to us on your specific referral, you will hear from one of our field representatives. If you haven't reached out, but you've been struggling with unemployment and you need assistance, or if you haven't been able to get through to anybody by phone, I will put my email in the chat, but you can reach me at logan.smith@asm.ca.gov or contact us via Assemblymember Nazarian's website. Because of a growing number of COVID cases among both legislators and Capitol staff, the Assembly is in recess for another 2 weeks so that members can focus on their districts while our friends over in the Senate are deliberating on all the bills we've sent them. I know some of you have contacted me regarding a handful of housing bills that came our way from the Senate in the past couple of weeks. None of those have been assigned to committees yet, and because of the COVID situation, I understand the committees are in the process of figuring out what that's going to look like with scheduling. But you can always, shoot me an email or give us a call if you have questions about the status of a particular bill or one that you would like me to track and give you updates on. I will add you to the lists. We have a handful of bills that have passed the Assembly. They're waiting to move forward in the Senate. Probably the biggest ones are going to be AB 2275, which you've heard me speak about before, but that's the one that will convert unused National Guard armories into emergency shelters for our unhoused folks. That's going to be critical when it comes to responding to the needs of our communities during the epidemic, given the issues with relocating unhoused individuals without adequate shelter space. We have AB 2203, which I'm very excited about, that will cap insulin co-payments for insured Californians at $50 a month. That passed the bipartisan support about a month and a half, 2 months ago. It's over in the Senate now, and it will ensure no Californian has to choose between life-saving medications and groceries in a time when I think everybody is feeling financial uncertainty. And then that last one I want to touch on, AB 2821, creates a statewide Parkinson's disease registry. The Assembly member developed this one in collaboration with researchers, patients, and medical professionals across the state to better understand the scope of Parkinson's in California and the needs of our senior population, and to ensure that we're getting critical funding and resources where they need to go, especially now that we see the state is up against a hard place with the budget. Making sure we have correctly identified the scope of diseases like Parkinson's in California goes a long way towards making sure they get adequate support. I know Jessica touched on this, but another thing I've heard from a lot of folks in Studio City about is Caltrans Cleanups. I have checked with senior staff at Caltrans, and I was informed about a week ago they have not been undertaking cleanups for the most part. Caltrans cannot perform encampment cleanups at this time if there are individuals located there due to the governor's public health directive. When there is not enough shelter space available, law enforcement and Caltrans cannot relocate individuals, which puts obviously everybody in a difficult situation right now. I know there are several areas that folks have flagged for us and that we've seen ourselves. I know everybody talks about the encampment behind Ralph's at Campo de Cahuenga. That is at the very top of my list. Caltrans staff have let us know they do not have PPE to equip their staff to undertake cleanups, so they are currently contracting out with contractors for litter and debris removal, but that is a much smaller number of available contractors than their existing teams, so that has somewhat impacted them. I have just about half my office right now on Caltrans's case about the Campo de Cahuenga location. It is a top priority along with many of the other ones you've submitted, but if you're not sure if one is on the radar, again, I'm going to put my email in the chat. Please feel free to shoot me an email or pictures if you've taken them. I want to make sure we're not missing anything, especially the really outstanding locations. And as Caltrans begins to resume normal service, I want to make sure that we have, the problem spots lined up and ready to roll. I know they will be reassessing their maintenance directive on July 31st. We are looking to see if we can get a team out to the Campo de Cahuenga location sooner. The flip side of this is that I think every office in the city is going to Caltrans for the same thing right now, and they only have so many people. But the Campo de Cahuenga location in particular has been outstanding since I want to say earlier than September of last year, and that's not okay, especially as we're in the middle of an epidemic and we want to make sure, we're taking care of those folks, the unhoused folks living back there, but we also want to make sure everybody in the community feels safe riding the bike or going to get groceries as safe as they can in this time. That's all I've got today. Like I said, I will stick my email in the chat. Please feel free to shoot me an email on anything I discussed today, or if I missed something you'd like to talk about. Thank you guys for staying safe.
Thank you very much, Logan. Appreciate it. I see we also have Tara Vadani from LAUSD. If you would like to unmute yourself, and if there's any report you'd like to give.
Yeah, of course. Let me just mute my other computer. Hi, everyone. My name is Tara Vadani from School Board Member Scott Schmerlson's office. If I could screen share during my comments, that would be helpful. I don't know if that's a possibility.
It should be.
Okay. Well, if someone could grant me those privileges at some point, that would be super helpful. But as many of you probably have heard, this past Monday, LAUSD Superintendent Austin Buettner, along with the Superintendent of San Diego Unified, announced that the start of our 2020-21 school year will be online only. And so obviously there are some people that are very happy about this news. They weren't prepared to send their children to school in a month. But on the flip side of it, there are others concerned about, you know, the challenges of being a working parent and co-inhabiting a space, and trying to make sure that your kids are learning to the same standard that they would be if they were physically in school. And so the district is hosting a series of town halls based off of community of schools, which is the term that we use in LUSD just to describe how clusters of schools are organized. So it would be, for example, like North Hollywood High School and all of the elementary and middle schools that feed into it. And so the and it looks like I can screen share now, so that's super helpful. Thank you. So the town hall for your community of schools is going to be on the 21st from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. And you'll see details on how to participate in that Zoom webinar. So if you know LUSD parents that are looking to get more information, I'd really encourage you to have them participate. I also encourage, you know, people to reach out to our office based off of what their needs are. Some families are reporting that they're going to need child care assistance because they're essential workers or they're people who need to physically go to work every day. So we're trying to collect all that feedback to see what communities have which needs. So again, it's on the 21st from 10:30 to 11:30. I also wanted to share with you that the board is currently recruiting for its one student board member position. So we've never had someone from the Valley represent all of the students on the board. So if you know any rising seniors who have above a 2.0 GPA, I'd encourage you to have them apply. They had one round of applications and they didn't get very many applicants. So they're reopening the process, and I'd really appreciate any support you all can get to encourage the high school seniors in your life to consider this opportunity. They get transportation to, I mean, right now meetings are obviously online, but were they to resume, they would get transportation from their home to downtown where the board meetings are held every time that there's a board meeting. And then finally, I wanted to share that our office is, we've done a whole series of events since COVID happened that are happening virtually, and our next event is happening on Saturday, July 25th at 4 p.m. And the San Fernando Valley is home to many Korean Americans, and if you all aren't aware, Porter Ranch Community School, which is located in Porter Ranch, has this really great Korean dual language program, and then the kids are able to continue on learning Korean language at Chatsworth High School, and we're trying to get more people aware that this exists at our schools and they're able to pursue these language opportunities. And we're trying to do it in a fun way. So we're hosting a Korean cooking demonstration. It's very kid friendly. So we encourage families to do this together. And if you go to our Facebook page, which is Scott at LUSD, you'll be able to see details and like the recipe and things like that. And then finally, I'll put in the chat box that the district is hosting a career fair on July 29th. So if you know anyone who's looking for work, this is going to be a virtual career fair where they can learn about current openings and talk to people at the district about what it's like to be an LUSD employee. So I'll put that in the chat box.
Thank you very much, Tara. By the way, I'm remiss, I haven't asked board members if they have any questions for any of our representatives. So are there any questions from any of our board members? I see your hand. Oh, good. Perfect. You unmuted yourself. Feel free to go ahead, Richard.
I did, but I will simply email Miss Jessica and get the name of the street. This was the Cool Streets Initiative where they paint the street of light color?
Yes. It's white,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I will send you some data. There are issues about that. We won't go into the long thing, but there's a study in Arizona that changing roofs, et cetera, to white actually lowered the amount of rain the area got. I will share that with the board and anybody else who's interested. If you're interested, you know where to find me. With that, I'm going back to mute so I don't feedback.
Okay, so Richard, technically I'm off tomorrow and the next day, so if you email it to me, I'll respond to you on Monday.
This is not earth-shaking. Doesn't have to happen tomorrow, and it's already a done deal. So neither here nor there. Thank you.
No problem.
Tara?
Go ahead, Richard. You're a little soft, though.
I'm just trying to see if having no student on campus will allow them to finish the projects at Colfax Elementary and North Hollywood High any faster?
That's a great question, and I don't have the answer to it, partly because the complex plant managers, who are the ones that oversee these larger infrastructure projects at the district, they spent the first 2 months of COVID leading our food efforts. So as you might be aware, we have 63 grab and go food centers across the district. So they were really project managing those centers, and they're supposed to give us updates on the status of projects. But the good news is that fortunately our the folks that do the construction work have been working through COVID, obviously maintaining social distancing and wearing masks, but I don't, as of now, anticipate those projects to be delayed.
Thank you.
Any other board members? Okay. So moving along, announcement from board members. I know that, so first actually, I'm happy to go to Rajuka as the new sustainability chair. If there's anything you wanted to talk about, or I know I'm putting you on the spot, we didn't talk about this before. Any ideas, any items on the top of the wish list that you and Melanie have spoken about thus far, or any general ideas? If you want to speak to that, you're welcome to. If not, we can move right along.
Yes, can I prepare something with Melanie for next time?
Absolutely. Yes. No, absolutely. I totally realize I'm putting you on the spot. So thank you.
I would like to say I'm extremely excited that we are going to do this, and I welcome Melanie's support and your support. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other board member announcements? Okay.
Well, I've got a really quick one.
Yeah, please.
I meant to send out this week, but I've been busier than a one-armed man at a paper hanging contest. I was going to forward to the board for your review and edification the TASCO that wasn't, with a quick explanation of what we're going to do this June before the Chi-Com crud hit. And that it was going to be the truly awesome TASCO that never occurred. So look for that in the next few days. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick Rosner and then Brian Carroll.
Yeah, I think I need to get the BACs signed by Richard so I can sign them and then plug them into the certification, the neighborhood council portal.
Perfect.
Fine, just, email it to me. I'll get it back to you real quick.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And Brian, please, I saw you had your hand raised.
Yeah, just it's not really an announcement, more of a procedural note. We have heard now the chairs for, I think, 3 different committees. And just for the sake of procedure, would you mind listing off who is the chair of each committee just in the public meeting?
Sure. No, I appreciate that. That's a good point. So it is Rajuka Kaplan and Melanie Winter will be co-chairing sustainability. We have Lana Shackelford who will be chairing budget. We have Nancy Kramer, chair of bylaws. Lisa Karajian is land use. We have Michael DeLazar as outreach. We have Luis Weinsaft as acting government affairs chair. We have Rachel Tobias as public safety. We have I said Rachel, I know I missed. Oh, and Andrew Silver currently as homelessness chair. I think that's everybody. Am I missing anyone?
Thank you very much.
No.
Thank you, Brian. It's
a procedural thing.
No, I appreciate it, and note taken. Thank you.
Don't leave off cultural affairs.
Oh yes, Richard. Correct. My goodness. Brian, you ran me under the rocks. I was already doing a good job of that on my own. Yes, Richard Niederberg continuing as our Cultural Affairs Committee chair, and to all the chairs that are on, I appreciate your indulgence. I've enjoyed all the meetings this past week, and I look forward to continuing.
And transportation.
Barry Johnson, look, another person. Goodness, how could I forget Barry? Barry would have been here tonight, but he has to get up very early for work, so he's not with us tonight. Yes, the I don't even know what the right word to describe. He's a mensch, but no, he's really a wonderful committee chair and committed to this community, Barry Johnson.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Second card holder? Do you remember I volunteered for that?
Forgive me. Richard, our card holders are still Richard Niederberg and Richard Adams. Thank you very much. And actually, I guess we're making announcements. I'll make, Richard Adams had into the last meeting a very great announcement of saying, wishing well wishes to our fellow board member, Jesse Porter. You will notice he is vertical in this meeting. So we are very, very happy to see you upright and that all things are hopefully continuing to move in the right direction, and only wishing you, I know I speak for all the board members, and wishing you only good health.
Much appreciated, Randy. Thank you.
Of course.
As a fellow spine injury person, I'm right there with the man.
Greatly appreciate it. So moving forward to presentations, I have one presentation, item 7 on the agenda. Brandon Pender from the Neighborhood Council Budget Advocate Representative for us. There was recently a Budget Advocates meeting. So let's see, is he on? Does anyone see
He
him?
has been having great difficulty logging on for whatever reason. I've sent him just about every piece of information related to how to log on and the different ID. He was going to try to give you a call, Randy, and or what I can do is I can call him and hold the phone up so he can do his report.
Let me see if I missed a phone call. I have not missed a phone call, although I have an email. Give me no, I don't have any email. If you'd like to call him and he wants to speak through speakerphone, that'd be great. I'm sure stakeholders would want to hear what's happening with
that would be great.
Seemingly imploding city budget.
Okay, thank you. Calling right now. And I think this might.
I've got him dialed in for 5 minutes.
Okay, Brandon, are you there? Are you ready to give your report? I got you on. You're on the speakerphone. Okay, great. Hi, everybody. This is Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon.
Okay, so I'm sorry I've been trying to get through and I haven't been able to get through either on the Zoom on my app or the call-in. The call-in has to be holding for some time. So I'm going to give a report this way. Hopefully it'll work out these bugs for next time. The Neighborhood Budget Advocates, we have finished our executive committee. It took us actually 2 days to do it because there was a lot of problems during that particular time. This is like the first time we've had an opportunity to do this sort of thing virtually. So hopefully the bugs are, the voting and everything had to be worked out because it was really pretty much a trial by error thing. So we have 10 positions that are filled. I won't go into all 10 right now, but our co-chairs are Liz Amiston and Jack Humphreyville. They are our 2 co-chairs. They lead the executive committee. We did have a short executive committee meeting 3 days after we had our executive committee votes. And we've decided we're going to be doing this Saturday, we're going to be doing our retreat, which is going to be a virtual retreat from 9 a.m. in the morning until 2 p.m. in the afternoon with a couple of breaks in between. And traditionally during that retreat, we basically put together our agenda for the forthcoming year. So we're going to be doing, finding out exactly how we're going to address our white paper this year. Hopefully there's a lot of suggestions. I think I mentioned before that we may not do an entire white paper of 100 or 200 plus pages. We might break it up to make it much easier for the neighborhood councils to digest and agree upon. And also because of the current circumstances, I think it's a wise thing that we should do. So we're going to be working that out at that particular time and also coming up with a theme. We're also going to be putting together our committees for the interview for the department heads. Also, we're going to address some of our bylaws because the bylaws that we had before did not really address this situation of the virtual meetings that we were doing, plus the election and a host of other things that we just were not prepared for. So now, with the aid of hindsight, we know exactly what we have to do in order to correct a lot of some of the flaws in our bylaws, and that includes a lot of the voting and some of the restrictions and things that we should restrict as far as the neighborhood council budget advocates are concerned, with their eligibilities and things like that. We're also going to put together a committee of budget reps that we would like to have people to come and work with us to do certain things together, to author some papers, to write articles on our website. We're going to do our old radio show as well to help put the word out about a lot of things. Also, we're going to have a meeting that will basically have the neighborhood councils participate in a lot of the things that we should be doing, which means that I've been put in charge of Region 4, so I'm over 2 other budget advocates that are in the region, and I've been given 4 neighborhood councils to operate with. The other 2 have divided up the other 5. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to work together to see that some of the budget advocates that we would go to the neighborhood councils basically to find out what is crucial in your neighborhood. What's crucial for Studio City? What's crucial for Toluca Lake? What's crucial for Van Nuys? And have more of a person.
1 minute.
More of a stake with the neighborhood councils that we represent instead of having an overall thing. Because everybody feels kind of lost in that situation. I'm also going to recommend that the other budget advocates help out each other. If you can't make it to a neighborhood council, you don't have to make it every month, but you got to at least communicate with your budget reps, send them reports so they can have something to say every time you have a meeting. But if one of the neighborhood council budget advocates can't make it to a neighborhood council, then the other person would agree to take up
20 seconds.
the slack.
Hey, Brandon, I don't think you can hear Richard, but he's giving you 20 seconds.
Okay. So anyway, that's right. That's really was that much to tell you right now. I'll know more after we have our Saturday retreat. We're going to spend a lot of time. I mean, a lot of us have cabin fever, so we're going to spend a lot of time. So next meeting, I will have a big litany of stuff and also something to send to my budget reps ahead of time. So thank you very much for your time. I yield back to Mike.
Thank you, Brandon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brandon. Moving on. So now moving to the discussion calendar, we will actually move to the items from the consent calendar that were moved down. The first is 4C, which is a land use motion. Lisa, since you're here, would you care to walk us through this motion and present?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'll go ahead and read the motion and then give you a little background about it, and we can discuss from there. The board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports the change of use from retail to restaurant at 12616 Ventura Boulevard, DIR-2020-1859-SPP, ENV-2020-1860. 1,300 square feet, 7 existing parking spaces with 6 additional parking spaces needed as cash in lieu per the Ventura Cahuenga Boulevard corridor specific plan. Interior and exterior improvements with a new sign. So interior and exterior improvements, they will be putting in a new kitchen. It will be a sushi restaurant right across the street from the Staples, between Bed Bath & Beyond and Carney's, right across the street there next to Ove Pizzeria Italian Restaurant. They have ample parking. 7 comes with the change of use to the restaurant. They will be paying cash in lieu for the additional 6 that is needed. So the space is 1,300 square feet. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. In total, they need 13 parking spaces. So that's the parking. They will be restriping the spaces that are in the vicinity. The typical details will apply in general construction. They are aware that construction operation to not block any walkways during demolition and remodeling. So customer seating, it's going to be, it's a small space. So about 215 square feet of it will be for dining. It will be a counter seating, in total 15 seats, with 5% of the seating will be handicap accessible. And that is about it. As of right now, they are working on changing the sign and starting demolition, moving into construction and remodeling as soon as this is handed. Any questions?
I've got a couple real quick.
Yeah.
This is, I'm trying to look the address up right now. Did they request a liquor license?
They will, and when they do, the application will come to land use once again. This is just for demolition, construction, remodeling, interior, exterior, parking in lieu of. Nothing about alcohol at the, but they will be certified.
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's showing on Zemus, not Zemus, I'm not on Zemus. I'm trying to figure out exactly where the address is. Is this, okay, it's in the Curve Shopping Center, yes?
Yes, it's right across the street from the Staples between Bed Bath and Beyond and
Yeah, that part I got. So it's probably over towards, not by the 6, but in the next group of buildings that used to be Mama and Papa's Big Pizza, or whatever the hell that was.
It's east of the 6. It's in the same.
Same building as the 6 or the other building?
No, the
Either way, yeah, it's a commercial area. They will come for the license when they need them. They will comply with the specific plan. Thank you for the information. I have no problem with this. And as a business representative, I support new businesses. We have too many empty holes in our downtown area. Thank you for your time. And thank you for everybody for allowing us to ask questions.
Thank you.
Okay,
And
so
if you don't
there's
have
any other comments?
to vote.
Okay, let's move to a vote. All those in favor of this motion for
Point of order, roll call.
oh yes.
Do we raise our hand or what?
No, we're going to do a roll call vote.
No, because it's a teleconference, it'll be a roll call. Thank you, Nancy.
No problem.
Richard Adams,
Yes.
Brian Carroll,
Yes.
Galaza,
Yes.
Randy Freed,
Yes.
Alex Isbicki,
Yes.
Mira, Raduca,
Yes.
Lisa Karajian,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Richard Niebuhr,
Yes.
Jesse Porter,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Alexa, yes. Adam Summer,
Yes.
Joseph Tishy.
Yes.
Oh, passes. Motion passes.
Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Moving on to item 4D, public safety motion for community impact statement. Rachel Tobias, I think she was on. Rachel, do we see Rachel anywhere in the attendees? There she is. If we can unmute Rachel Tobias, our Public Safety Chair. Rachel?
Hi, guys.
Hello. Rachel, if you'd like to present a little background and then this motion, that'd be great.
I think from public safety, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I just got a whole bunch of warnings popped up. From LAPD point of view, I mean, in the next couple of years, there's going to be quite a large number that are going to be retiring early. And so we wanted to ensure, even though there are budget cuts, that there are certain monies involved that would maintain officers and maintain the training involved with that. So with that said, I'll read to you the public safety motion. For the safety of our community, we support the concept of reallocation of funds from already designated budget cuts from LAPD, so long as it does not impact the number or retention of officers, nor the training of all officers on any ongoing basis. We support that the training of all officers includes new and continuing de-escalation tactics. We support Council File 20-0769 that reallocates funds in the budget's cuts from LAPD to develop a new unarmed model of crisis response that will include mental health crisis, substance abuse, neighbor disputes, etc.
Okay, so any questions or comments to this from board members? Alex is
Well, I'm not sure I'm in favor of budget cuts to begin with, although they're politically popular right now. And I'm all in favor of retaining the officers. I can't blame them for pulling the pin and getting out of town. If I was eligible for retirement in LAPD, I'd go. If I was young, I'd find a place where I was welcome. Although the general gist of this motion is trying to split the baby. I'm in favor of the general theory, so thank you for bringing this up and for explaining what's going on. I'm done.
Great.
Alex?
I kind of, I just, it's funny, we're not really talking about the real issue here, and I'm on the PS committee. No matter who's retiring and who's being hired, if we don't have reform on pensions and salaries, there's never going to be enough money for effectively having any policing. So I think everyone's afraid of talking about the real problem here, which is that we are absolutely broke due to our salaries and pensions for our esteemed police officers, and to some extent our fire, of course. So I'm going to abstain from my vote because I believe that we are skirting the issue for some reason. And if anyone's ever taken an economics class or an accounting class, you would know that the big problem here, it doesn't matter what you propose, everyone has to be paid, and everyone's being paid an exorbitant amount of money, no matter how heroic the job is and appreciated, which I appreciate it to no ends. So, I mean, is that all we're going to do? Just rubber stamp another layer of bureaucracy, which we won't be able to fund anyways? Why doesn't anyone want to take issue with the real problem, which is we can't afford to run the system the way it is, especially with our police officers who are going to retire and the new ones we're going to hire? Why aren't we proposing like new hires have a new reformed rework system of salaries and pensions? Why isn't that ever brought up to the subject? It's always something that is going to be ineffective. So you guys vote for it. I would have voted for it, but I'm going to abstain as a sense of defiance that this is absolutely a waste of time.
Comment?
Go ahead, Richard.
I just wanted to note the fact that people discuss the overtime versus the hiring more officers. On the back end, it costs more to have two pensions than it does to have one pension. That's one of the reasons of many where they're using the overtime. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. So if we can bring this to a roll call vote, please.
I think Lana is raising her hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lana.
Hi.
Oh, and Brian, I apologize.
Okay. So I would understand Alex's point about the salaries. Now, there is a union, I believe, that is involved with negotiating that with the city or the management, as is the case when unions go to the negotiating table. So that is a totally separate, huge thing to unravel in that instance. And I do understand and appreciate what this motion is attempting to accomplish, and that is to show the support in dividing the duties that have long overburdened the force. And yet we know that there'll be additional cost to have an upstart department that will take over those types of duties. So I'm in favor of supporting this motion, and yet this is just a start. It's not ever going to be the complete answer. This is new territory for everyone in the city. That's all.
Thank you, Lana. Brian?
So I want to thank Rachel and the Public Safety Committee for this motion, because I do agree with the spirit of it. And I do personally support Council File 20-0769. The only problem that I have with it per se is the conditions that we're putting on it. You know, we are in the middle of a national conversation right now. And I don't think it's good to necessarily take things off the table, at least yet, until they're ready to figure it out. So I do support this. If you are open to removing, so long as it does not impact up until the end of that sentence, because I do believe in the spirit of this. I think it's a great job, but my conscience, I just don't think it meets the moment. And that's not to insult you or the work that that committee does, but just my own sake of voting yes on this, that would kind of be part of it. That's all.
Thank you, Brian. Nancy Kramer?
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck here on will include mental health crisis. I think that that's handled by the county, and it's got a whopping budget of its own. And to reallocate LAPD funds into dealing with mental health crisis, maybe I'm missing something. And if I am, Rachel, if you could clarify that for me.
Sure. It actually was already stated in that file, in that council file. I'm just requoting what they have, that City Council has already provided us. So I can read to you council file. It's very short if you guys wish. I realize that there isn't a link there, but there was previously in committee. Do you want me to read it or no?
Well, you can just tell me. Are we going to have a whole new government of mental health crisis in addition to the county?
I mean, it's a complicated question. I think what they're trying to say is the funds that are being reallocated are going to be towards this new system and that they're working to put in place.
Okay.
It's teamed with, I'll just read it, just a point of clarification.
Thanks.
Recommendations for council action as initiated by Wesson, Martinez, Harris, Dawson, Price, Blumfield, and O'Farrell. Instruct the Chief Legislative Analyst, CLA, and the City Administration Office, CAO, with assistance from the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, and the Los Angeles Housing Authority, Los Angeles Housing Services Authority, LAHSA, and in cooperation with the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health and other relevant government services providers to develop an unarmed model of crisis response that would divert nonviolent calls for service, parentheses, mental health crisis, comma, substance abuse, neighbor disputes, etc., away from LAPD to appropriate non-law enforcement agencies. And part two of that council file is to instruct the CLA to analyze and report back on programs utilized both domestically and internationally, such as Cahoots in Eugene, Oregon, as well as other models of crisis intervention. So the motion was actually quoting from that council file that has already passed.
Does that clarify, Nancy?
Kind of. I'm done.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, if we can take a roll call vote on item 4D, please.
Richard Adams,
I will join my longtime NC buddy and good friend and neighbor and abstain.
Brian,
No.
Michael DeLazar,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Alex, Mira.
Mira is 16.
Mira, not vote.
Apologize. Raduca,
Yes.
Lisa Karajian,
I abstain.
Nancy,
Nancy, repeat.
Nancy,
No.
no,
No.
Richard,
Jane,
Jesse Porter,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Alexa, yes. Adam,
Yes.
Joseph,
Yes.
nine yeses, 2 nos, 5 abstain.
Okay, motion passes.
4 abstain, I think.
Yeah, 4 that's, yeah.
I'm sorry, 4 abstain, yes.
Moving on to item 8B. This was a motion which I'll give background if before we need to be seconded. The motion is to remove the board member. The language specifically says, whereas board member Adam Summer has missed 2 consecutive meetings, specifically the May 2020 and June 2020 board meeting, and pursuant to section 4, absence of the Studio City Neighborhood Council operating procedures, which states, a board member who incurs an unexcused absence at 2 regularly scheduled meetings, or optionally 3 total board meetings during any 12-month period may be removed by action of the board. The board of the Studio Neighborhood Council, I should make a friendly amendment to myself to change Studio City Neighborhood Council, hereby removes Adam Summer from the board. The reason I've actually
Second for the purpose of discussion, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you. The background on this, I will just say.
Permission to speak.
Can I finish my sentence first?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Quite all right. So I've actually been in touch with Adam via text, on the telephone, and the reason that I brought this forward is because it's in our bylaws, and our bylaws say may, not shall. In other words, it's an option. And I don't want to not bring a motion forward if something has happened in one scenario, and then in another scenario, if later during the year it happens, I then bring a motion forward against someone else, or if it's brought against me, for anyone, if it wasn't brought forward now. I believe that our rules should be applied evenly. That being said, in speaking to Adam, I believe that he wants to engage and be involved, and I leave it to, now that the motion has been seconded, I leave it to board members to discuss. But first and foremost, I want to give Adam Summer the opportunity to speak. And thank you, Adam, for our conversation.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Before he speaks, could I explain why I seconded the motion for discussion? I think it's important.
I'd like to give, just as since he's the subject matter of it, now that it's seconded, I'd like to give him a chance to speak first before the rest of the board chimes
I was
in.
going to speak in favor of his retention.
I mean, I'll be super quick. There's not a lot I have to say, obviously. I promise that. Do I have permission to speak really quickly?
Yeah,
Richard?
please go ahead, Adam.
Okay, so it was negligent, and I apologize. I was under the impression, and this is me not doing my due diligence, that these meetings on Zoom were voluntary. That is not an excuse. Obviously, I've never missed a meeting, either excused or unexcused, since joining the board. I've planned my schedule, both my business schedule and my personal life schedule around board meetings. I've really made an effort. So it's not, I mean, I hope you guys realize it is an isolated incident. I really do enjoy neighborhood council, most parts of it. If I can give my reason why I was possibly out of the loop, I think all of us can agree or at least empathize with the idea that some of these emails, or these onslaughts of emails, have differing levels of kind of importance or pertinence to neighborhood council. And so I've been neglectful. I haven't opened every email. I did not know that these were mandatory meetings. Even so, I should have been attending them. I just probably took this as a hiatus, which it should not have been. I do apologize. I do want to, as Randy said, re-engage with the board. Obviously, it's a more impersonal style when you're not in person. But after tonight, I'm just as enthusiastic about continuing as I was before COVID-19. I never got any direct message from Brian, which is not his obligation. It's not, and nobody else got any direct messages from Brian, even after missing the first meeting. So I do not fault him for that. I clearly fault myself. I just want to express in my sincerity of wanting to continue on the board and not missing another meeting, either excused or unexcused. So I can promise that, unless I do get sick. So, but thank you. And then you guys are free to ask me any other questions, but I do want to apologize, and I appreciate you guys listening. So.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. Richard, please go right ahead.
All righty. I'm all about the conversation. That's what the neighborhood council is. You've seen enough of me about that to keep going. Adam and I, if you like me, he thinks I talk too much. That's neither here nor there. He cared enough to run for the board, get on the board, be on the board. We disagree about many things. That's the way of life. We're supposed to be all adults. And it's hard enough to get anybody to actually participate in the NC for any amount of time, any amount of effort. And I did not want to see him or anybody else run out of town on a rail, especially since in recent past history, somebody else was notorious for not attending meetings or walking out of them whenever. And when he was justifiably moved for removal, the powers that be above us had done the city attorney, had a hissy fit and wouldn't let it happen. And yet at this time, they were perfectly happy to put Mr. Sumner on a rail. And I'm all about fair play and justice, and that wasn't fair and that wasn't just. And if he didn't show up tonight, I was going to ask for permission to try to locate him to bring him back to the fold, as it were. Even in the Army, they don't kick you out for AWOL unless they can't find you. And this just struck me as wrong. The rules are the rules, and they ought to be obeyed. But at this point in time, I felt, especially given all the beshugal he was going through, he didn't deserve to be run out of town that fast. So I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's on board. He'll continue to give me hell, et cetera, but that's what adult life is all about. Adam, good to see you again. Same with you, Jesse.
Okay, Brian Carroll, please go ahead. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, when just to mirror some things that Richard just said, it's kind of taken out of my mouth. It's when I first saw the motion, I was confused by it, and it seemed like a very punitive motion when it could be resolved more diplomatically. But after, Randy, you explained it, that's a perfect explanation, and I have absolutely no problem with the way that was handled. So, I mean, just to speak in favor of Adam, I mean, like Richard said, it's hard enough to get some people to volunteer for this. It can be very tough, and especially with the pandemic, we're all kind of in worlds without time right now. And Adam's a great guy. He wants to dive into it. I speak in support of him, and I will be, of course, voting no on the motion to.
Okay, thank you, Brian. We have Nancy Kramer.
Hi. So Adam, I adore you. But when's the last, tell me about your commitment to committee. What's the last committee meeting you've gone to? And are you on a committee and are you participating?
I guess that question wouldn't necessarily be relevant at all to the motion. I don't think this is a chance to, to analyze my performance in committees. I think it's specific to me not attending these two meetings. I think everybody that knows why I stopped on committees, it was a direct byproduct of me being interested in another public position, which it was a full-time job. I had a campaign manager, I had campaign staff. I have a app, which is a full-time job. I have a training business, which is a full-time job. It doesn't mean when I was president of the outreach committee, I wasn't really interested in doing a lot of what we started. It was a very convoluted process managing outreach when we couldn't definitively understand what our job as an outreach committee was. And I think we had a lot of attrition because of that. However, as a more generalized response, I don't think that question is even relevant to the motion itself, nor do I think it is. But if you want my answer specifically, I think everybody that knew what I was doing, Brian and a few other people, understood that I had a tremendous amount on my plate. None of it was leisure or travel. I have the biggest training app on the App Store for the past 2.5 years. The biggest app in health and fitness, required a lot. I have a little boy, required a lot. Of course, I want to do more. I really enjoy it. It's not very often in any group or in the community that you can have this myriad kind of stratified element of all parts of a working community that get brought together in community or in committees with mutual interests and passion. So I would like to definitely get involved. However, I don't think that question necessarily resolves this motion. So I just want to let you know why I didn't attend the meetings. And although it was very immature in not reading every email and not understanding that they were mandatory, I did know that the first meeting itself was not mandatory on Zoom. And from there, I took that as precedent to preclude my choices in clearly not attending the other meetings. However, I do not plan on missing another meeting. So thank you, Nancy. And if you want to respond to that really quickly, I hope I didn't run on too long. So.
Well, no, I just want to know what committee you are going to be on or what participation you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, if I get back into a committee, I was on briefly on budget, briefly on bylaws, and I did try to chair the outreach committee when it was running. I mean, that was what interested me the most is outreach. So that, I mean, if that's the question that you want to bring up with me or call me and we could talk about where you think I fit best. I know there's a brand new kind of culture that is being imbued by Randy. I think a lot of people are really excited about the board. As I was really appreciative of Brian as well. I think people are reinvigorated and possibly there will be a place on a specific committee that really fits for me. But I'm not going to do what I did last time and chair a committee only to be inundated with other obligations. So yeah, I will be on a committee again, but I cannot promise that I will take on and overextend myself with my existing obligations. However, I really do like the fabric of our team now. I think we have a really strong unit, really diversified unit, really engaged unit in good and both bad ways. So I'm excited to stay part of it. There's zero distractions on a kind of overarching scale that will bring you away from being a more present part of neighborhood council once again. So I hope that answers your question. Anyhow.
Lana, please go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I'd just like to say I'm inclined to continue, to be in favor of Adam's continued participation on the board. However, since I was appointed, I didn't have much interaction with Adam during this time, of course, because once we were locked down and then our system changed to online meetings, I think it was a little a little crazy. But I do want to say that I appreciated Nancy's question about committee involvement, because I believe that's where we have our strength, is in that work continually through our committees and our committee members. So I do appreciate having a little bit more knowledge about that. So as I said, I'm inclined to, be in favor of Adam's continued participation. I'm not sure that I have interacted with him long enough to really participate in a vote, is all I'm saying.
Well, I guess I could do the quickest response, just to keep the rapidity of the meeting moving. I did chair the community outreach committee. I was actually very like ebullient and excited, enthused to do it. And it turned into just kind of like a circus in different directions of what people thought that committee was. And at that point, it was my first committee that I chaired. It was very difficult. So we wanted to have outreach events, but we didn't know who was running, like was at cultural affairs, and we wanted to do specific like town halls or kind of Studio Cit forums, as we called them. And we did make a pretty tangible effort towards doing them. I just think there was a lot of people in these committees who felt some of it was going to be internet marketing of what we did, and a lot of it was going to be grassroots, or it was going to be informative projects that were, I think, transparent and open to the public. And that's what I think was frustrating to me. It kind of sputtered out. I don't think it was necessarily much of a conscious choice for me to just step away. I think you saw everybody from my committee kind of left or at the same time. But yeah, I guess to answer your question is, I really would like, my first inclination when I joined Neighborhood Council was to allow other individuals like myself, especially young individuals with families, to just know more about what Neighborhood Council does and how prevalent we are in the community. So I would love to get back to that at some point. If that committee is still operational, that would be something I'd be very interested in. But yeah, I hope you can call me or text me or email me and ask me questions, because I think there is kind of disparate communication between board members. And oftentimes it's because the ones who are most vociferous and you break loudest are the ones who have the microphone more often. So you're free to call me or ask me questions. I just don't want to slow down meetings or interactions by speaking too much. So, but thank you for that question.
Okay, so Michael DeLazar, he sent me a message that he'd like to speak. So Michael, if you want to go ahead, and then we'll hear from the others, Richard and Alex.
Okay, fair enough. And I don't know which way. I'm kind of on the fence about this. And my reasoning is, when COVID hit, we all were asked to participate in a meeting with the mayor. And the mayor came on and had all of us council members together on one big Zoom meeting. And he told us to go out and do good for our community, to not worry about some of the procedures and things that would hold us back, and go out and do things. And there were a group of us that took that to heart and went out and just started doing things. We started a program for neighbors helping neighbors. The Public Safety Committee created a Feed Folks program, and we're on the local news. We held 3 town halls, and I didn't see you at any of them. I mean, not even like, didn't even show up as an attendee or anything. And the question of, I didn't know, I don't, you're a board member, and our job here is to work. We want to be on the board because we want to work and serve the community and serve all of these people that are in the attendees column here, and try and do right by the neighborhood. And while some people ran toward the fire, you ran the other way and just disappeared. And just let me finish. Yeah, and that troubles me, because there are people who want to be on the board, who are anxious to be on the board, who participate regularly in the committee meetings. Everybody here on this grid is on a committee except you. And that bothers me. That's, you know, we're here to work and we're here to work hard, and we're up late nights and we're texting and sending emails off and writing papers until 2, 3 in the morning. And I'd rather, you know, we all have jobs too. And, you know, we don't have an app, but I'm writing, you know, I'm going to get off this meeting tonight and I'm going to go and I'm going to write for 3 hours to get my job done. So that's just, you know, that's part of being a volunteer and serving the council. And if I'm on the fence about it, because I do like you, I have no problem with you as a person. It's just, you've shown no interest in serving in any capacity at all since, I mean, the election was what, January? I mean, that's 6 months ago. I mean, I'm like, that's a long time to recover from an election. So I don't know. I'm like, I'm really on the fence with it, because there are people there, you know, there's people here who have served for a long time in other capacities that would probably enjoy being on the board. And I'm like, well, give it to somebody who actually wants to play and actually wants to work and show up and help out and be a part of it. Because it sounds like you want it for the title and you like the people. Well, that's great, but we're here to work. So that's sort of where I'm at on it. And I'm a little frustrated because the dog ate my homework isn't great for me. It doesn't sit well with me. And, you know, there are ways to find out. I mean, geez, we're on the local news, for crying out loud, with some of this stuff. So I don't know. It's a tough call. Unmute yourself, Randy. Unmute yourself.
Sorry, so I think it was Richard Niederberg, then Alex, and then Raduca.
As a matter of tradition or history, whatever, basically, the last person I knew to actually be excluded from the board by the board itself was more than 10 years ago, and that was Michael McKee, who was the secretary of the board. And so it's been a long time, so I would not say that this board is trigger happy in any way. Thank you.
I just want to respond to Michael before.
I'm sorry, could I just interrupt? Do we have to retort can we just have everyone say their piece and then maybe Adam could retort?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah,
sure. Good point, Alex. Alex, feel free, go ahead.
Okay, basically, I like Adam as well, as it's been reflected. And as what Michael stated, there are people on this board that have been doing a lot of work, more than me. I will admit that. I mean, cumulatively, I've been on the board for over 5 years. And maybe it's nice to let some other people with new, fresh ideas do a little bit more of the hands-on things. But I gotta say, you know, and this isn't directed at you, Adam, personally, but anybody who's like not on the committee, you have to be on a committee. It's not even a question of whether anyone wants to be on a committee. And secondly, if I kind of didn't want to have some input, I would just back out. I mean, what's the big deal? I mean, if I had a career and things like that. So unless the person's going to be really involved, I mean, the excuses, I get it, but you know, we're all professionals here. I would just say, you know, if somebody, and again, I'm not talking to you personally, Adam, but if anybody is behaving in that way and then changes and says, yeah, you know what, this is kind of a wake-up call, then I'm all for it, man. You know, I think we should all move on. But, you know, it's kind of like Michael stated, it's been 6 months, you know, and it's just a Zoom meeting. Look, we're all in our houses, right? So anyway, I'm kind of torn as well, and I just wanted to reflect that.
Thank you, Alex. Raduca, please go ahead.
Hi. So I'm acknowledging that the format is rather difficult to have this conversation, and personally, I also like Adam a lot. Yet I am in a bit find it very difficult to hear that the outreach committee became a circus. I was part of it, and I have to thank Ali DeLazar for the immense work that she did after you left. Also Richard, who continued the committee, and now Michael, who took over. And I disagree that the motion today is just about showing up to the board meeting. We had town hall meetings, and as Michael stated, we have pulled together as a neighborhood council for the COVID. So it is really for, not for the pleasure of being on the board, but basically because we are part of a community and the stakeholder need information from us and feeling that actually they are informed. So I don't really understand what does it mean for you to be on the board, and I welcome your response. Thank you.
Mute, unmute.
Sorry, Lisa. Yes, please go ahead.
So, Adam, you're lovely. You're a lovely person. I thank you so much for being part of the board, running and getting elected. Having said that, in my personal opinion, I feel that it would be just best that you resign, because you've heard your fellow board members speak and how they feel. They've expressed it. It sounds to me like you have a lot going on, right? Between a baby, that's a full-time job in itself, your app and your training. You have so much going on. It just would be best that you just resigned and we parted ways in a graceful way, instead of having you be put in this position to have to choose a committee, because you should. That's what you should be doing, is choosing a committee, attending our meetings, and being a part of all of it, because this is a job too. And I think it just is too much for your schedule, in my personal opinion. So just hear what I have to say and make the right decision. Thank you.
Are there any other board members who wish to? Jesse Porter, please go ahead.
I agree with a lot of what's been said by some of the other board members, and I was perhaps having a difficult time finding the best way to articulate my feelings, but I think Lisa just nailed it. I think if Adam wants to resign his position, he's certainly more than welcome to do that, and it might be appropriate given the circumstances that he's described and that other board members have pointed out. That said, I will be voting against this particular motion, as I feel it's exceedingly undemocratic for us to remove a board member who was duly elected, even given certain particular circumstances regarding attendance during a very unusual time. He's got a better attendance record than any number of sitting United States senators, etc. It would strike me as inappropriate for us to make that decision. If he wants to make that decision, I'll support him, and I know others will as well.
I mean, thank you. Do you have a quick chance to respond before I forget, like, specific? And I won't be long. I don't want to.
Yeah, 1 second. I just want to see if there were any. I know there's a couple board members left that haven't said anything, just in the event that they do want to say something. If not, I'm happy to allow you to respond. Rosner's fine. Okay, Adam, go right ahead.
I guess the quickest response is that I think these questions about committee participation and missing these past 2 meetings are both separate and distinct. And if we want to amalgamate them now into one question, I think that's, I don't think that is equitable. If the question is, do I need to be on committees again and will I participate? My answer is yes, of course I will. And if that was a mandate and you guys came at me transparently, conspicuously, and asked and said, Adam, if you don't rejoin a committee, participate in a committee, of course I'm gonna do that, because I do value being on the board. I value being a specific voice of my community. However, did I realize that nobody else was on? I mean, I remember Alex wasn't initially, I think, on a committee when I got elected onto the board. I don't know if he was or not. I really wasn't. I didn't have any direct communication from Brian about any of this until now, which does not mean, and Lisa, I understand like your frustrations and what I was trying to explain earlier. And Michael, actually, you too, you said a lot of the same things. And what I was trying to explain earlier is my schedule is not what it used to be. From January, February, COVID was in March. I didn't, take a more ambitious move forward to join a committee again. I think it's conjecture to say that I'm not enthused or don't want to participate. You guys can believe that based on my performance. I understand that. But of course I do. I mean, I wouldn't have, and it's not, and I don't remember if it was Michael. I think it was Michael that said it's about a title. I mean, it's not a title that you put, that you really, and I think you're misinterpreting what the job is necessarily to different people. I mean, I do understand it is work. I do, of course, but I don't know if I was operating under the same parameters as a lot of you. And I think this is a chance to make that clear now, and I appreciate you guys doing that, of course. There's a lot of contentiousness in the board, but I think everybody does want to participate. It is frustrating. A lot of these meetings are very frustrating, and Richard talked about it early on. I think a lot of people start tuning out when you go to committee meetings, and they're, you have one person who's very imperious or domineering, and you feel like you're squeezed out of participation just based on time. Of course, we all have jobs, and I appreciate what you guys do immensely. I appreciate you guys all putting your time into this. And I wasn't trying to say I'm the only one that has a lot of obligations or pre-existing conditions which make it difficult for me to fully participate. I was just saying that's kind of why I stepped away at that point from committee work. I really enjoy you guys. I would love to stay on the board. I plan on being on the board, and running for the board again and running for the board after that, hopefully. So, this is my home. I love Studio City. I guess I'm not on a straight vertical trajectory with my participation, but I hope to continue. I hope you guys will at least think about it. I didn't expect this reaction tonight, so I appreciate you guys being very honest and open about what you feel definitively is what it means to be on the Studio City Neighborhood Council or any neighborhood council. But I certainly do not do it for the title. I don't think any of us do, or the attention that comes along with it. I really am interested in it. So, you have guys like Richard at times, Eric Previn, who distract, and at some point, you lose the alacrity to want to be such an enthusiastic part of committees when you feel like it's people hitting their heads against each other for the majority of 4 hours. I think it speaks for a lot of people who started in this neighborhood council with so much enthusiasm and peter out. And I don't think it's because, like Michael says, well, you got to do the work. I think you have to feel excited about the people you're working with too, necessarily. So, to go back to Community Outreach Committee, I thought it was a wonderful learning experience. I was excited about a lot of the projects I put into motion. Allie, she stepped away from it too. I think she was frustrated with it. I don't think a circus is probably the correct descriptor, but it was difficult for sure. I hope you guys keep me on. I can promise I'm not going to miss meetings. I can promise I'm going to join a committee. And if that is enough for you, but and simply to go back to Lisa really quick and Nancy, I was under the impression that what I was here to clarify is why I did not attend these past 2 meetings. And in all honesty, that's why I didn't attend them. And so hopefully you can reconsider if you have thought this through and made up your mind that my participation alone is reason to disqualify me from further participation on the board. However, I could definitely commit to joining at least one committee fully and participating in one committee fully. Nobody has reached out to me since I stopped being on committees and said, Brian, I think that might have been an obligation of yours to say, hey, you're not on a committee, Adam, join a committee or you're going to be off the board. Because that wasn't part of this, I'm taken aback right now because I was not expecting that to be a point of contention. So I apologize, and I will commit to being on a committee and re-engaging myself with a really interesting, cool group of people who I've enjoyed being around and getting to know their circles. So I apologize, Michael. I apologize, Lisa, as well. And Jesse, I really appreciate it, how you described what I'm going through, because I think it was very accurate. It is a ample opportunity now for me to re-engage. And if you guys do want to, if I'm not on committees, then, all right, sorry, guys. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, no worries, Adam. I appreciate the passion. But I want to move this to a vote.
Yeah.
Time, and we still have people that want to speak, at least in terms of general public comment. So with that, if we can move that to a roll call vote, please.
Okay. Richard Adams.
The vote is no to not remove them?
That is correct.
No.
Brian.
Oh boy. I'm going to stick with my no vote, but I got to say, Adam, just really quick, you got to come up with a better reason why you want to be a board member than what you gave today. That's all I'll say.
Michael.
I don't think the infraction warrants, the specific infraction warrants a removal. I would say you can't expect others to do your work for you and get you involved. You've got to involve yourself. Nobody's going to hold your hand. This is, you have to step up. And so my vote is no, but that's what it is.
Randy.
Abstain.
Alex.
Let's see. No, I vote no.
Raduca.
Abstain.
Lisa.
Abstain.
Nancy.
No.
Richard.
No.
Jesse.
No.
Rick.
No.
Lana.
No.
Alexa. I would just mirror what Brian and Michael said, and I'm going to vote no. Adam.
No.
Joseph.
I go no.
Motion does not pass.
Point of order. I
Yes.
believe that Adam's not eligible to vote on this motion unless I'm.
That is, I believe that is correct.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that, sir.
But either way, it would be, unless my count is incorrect, it's 11 no's, 3 abstentions. So the motion does not pass. So Adam, hopefully you'll take the words of your fellow board members to heart, and I believe you. I believe you will. Moving to motion 8C, discussion and possible motion. This is coming from Transportation Committee, or well, let me rephrase. This was brought up in the Transportation Committee, but due to timing, I'm bringing the motion forward. The motion reads, the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council requests that Councilman Paul Precorian tackle the quote-unquote long-standing mosquito-ridden street litter pond caused by decades of tree root growth at 4548 Morris Avenue, with West Nile virus identified in Studio City this year. This decades-old problem needs immediate attention. Is there a second?
Second, Richard Adams.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Without objection, can we move to a vote?
Can we discuss?
Sure. Are there any comments?
Yeah, my concern is that the city's addressing of the tree root damage Barry's not here. See, I'm assuming, Randy, that you know something about this. Because usually dealing with roots means digging up the trees and the roots that are causing the problem, often which is caused by either the city planting inappropriate trees or people surface watering the trees that encourages the roots to break through. Is this going to result in more damage to our, or loss to our urban canopy? Do you have any information on that?
You know, I don't have information from that. I know when it was presented by Ms. Campbell, she
Brought it land use.
In land use, yes. She talked really about the pooling of water on the street, and you know how she's literally for years been pushing the water, dispersing the water so it doesn't pool. And
I get that. I get all that.
But there was no mention of as it relates.
Can I
to
speak to it since it wasn't my?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So city planning does need to come assess the situation. Most likely, break up the street, break up the roots, not necessarily remove the tree, and completely resurface the road. So, so that because of the broken street and the concrete, the sidewalk and the street, pool of water just gathers and mosquitoes are rampant. So let's start with getting Councilman Krikorian to send a letter, or us sending him a letter, getting him to make this move a lot faster so that these people have some reprieve, because this has been going on for over 15 years.
Okay, so they're going to have to remove something. In the meantime, somebody should explain to the local stakeholders that if they go down to the dollar store or anywhere else and get some cooking oil or whatever and pour it on the top of the surface, it will float above the water, and the mosquito larvae cannot breathe, and they will die, and they will not have mosquitoes anymore. We figured that out during the building of the Panama Canal, and I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you for that suggestion.
Rick Rosner.
We'll read the letter.
A question for Richard, anybody who may know this. Is there a tree sparing method of just getting in there and cutting the offending roots and sparing the tree?
Yes.
Yes, I think, yes, there is. Okay.
If you
So
just
without
want
any
to
other,
get rid of mosquitoes, just call the county mosquito abatement, which has got nothing to do with the city of LA at all. They come up in their trucks like they did on Oakdale Road, spray them, and mosquitoes went away. They died.
great. If we can do a roll call vote on this.
Okay. Richard Adams.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Randy.
Unmute Randy.
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Raduca.
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Jesse.
Yes.
Rick Rosner.
Yes.
Lana.
Yes.
Alexa. Yes. Adam.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Joseph Tichy, yes.
Point of order, Mr. President. Does anyone live within 500 feet of this address that should be abstaining?
Thank you, Brian.
I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just trying to.
No. I'm being sincere with my thank you.
Yeah.
That could be me. I'm abstaining, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, Nancy, you're abstaining.
So then it would be 14 yes, 1 abstention.
Abstaining.
Great, thank you. This moves us to agenda item number 9, which is general comment on non-agenda items. There's a 2-minute per speaker. Richard, are you ready with your timer?
Wait, I want to make sure we amended the address, correct?
Yes, 4548 Morris Avenue. Richard Adams, are you ready with your timer?
Richard Adams.
Sorry, I muted myself here at the house due to feedback issues last month. I am now ready for 2 minutes.
Okay, very good. So we're opening general public comment on non-agenda items. So if you're an attendee, please raise your hand. I already do see a few hands raised. First, Michael DeLazar, if you can unmute the number ending in 008. Once you're unmuted, speaker, your time will begin once you start speaking.
I think that's Richard Adams' phone number, 008.
Oh, it is. Okay, so we have public comment from Mr. Goat. 2 minutes, once he's unmuted. His time will begin.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, coming from a different angle, And again, we're very disappointed to see that item 8 alpha, that's a military term. They don't use letters, they use letter names for letters. Alpha, beta. Where'd you learn that? I learned it from you, asshole. All right, go ahead. So we supported the motion on 8A, and we supported the motion on 8B. The penalty, however, should be much more severe. It should be a requirement if found guilty of censure. You should pick up homeless garbage up and down Ventura Boulevard for 6 months. So again, I support that. Now, turning to the 5-minute rule, it's against goats. You're against me because I have fur. You're against me because of my horns. You're against me because I'm a sentient animal being. But I will continue to fight for the First Amendment. And I will get my friends to file that notice of intent to sue under the Bain Act 2.1. So finally, Paul Krikorian is a filthy, dirty little scheming piece of shit. And he should be put before that Jose Huizar judge when he says, how do you plead? And he would go, he wouldn't even be able to say the G word. And that's what you have working here. And Randy Fried Chicken is a co-conspirator. A co-conspirator of deprivation of civil rights. I gotta say, Mr. Puppet, that was beautiful. I'm learning about the Constitution, yes. And
that would be fine.
Everybody in CD2.
Thank you, Speaker. Your time has expired. Okay, I see we have Scott Mandel. Whenever you're ready, once you're unmuted, please speak, and your time will begin once you begin speaking.
Okay, that's a tough act to follow. I'll try. My general comment is on the Homelessness Committee. I've been following the committee for almost a year now, and my advice is that the committee is disbanded and the responsibilities of homelessness be folded into public safety. I view the homeless issue in Studio City as a public safety issue. I know many others do. And when I hear the Homelessness Committee meet, and when I hear what their motions are and what they're proposing, they sound to me like activists looking to help the homeless population. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think that is better suited for groups like NoHo Alliance and other nonprofits that try to help these people. Whereas as far as Studio City is concerned, me being a resident, for me, it's an issue of public safety. My goal is not to pass them out water bottles, socks, hygiene kits, and sponsor their pods and help them. My goal is to get them out of Studio City. And I'm hoping the board will push the Homelessness Committee, at least in that direction. And if they won't go in that direction, disband the committee altogether and fold it into public safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Is there any other public comment on non-agenda items? Melanie Winter, please go ahead.
Just as a counter to the last comment, I want to applaud the Homelessness Committee and just say I feel they've been one of our most effective. And I am of the opposite position that the unhoused in Studio City are also the public in Studio City whose safety it is incumbent upon us to protect. And I think the committee as it stands is doing an excellent job of that.
Thank you, Melanie. Are there any other comments from the public? Going once, Twice. Thank you very much. Moving to agenda item number 10 for committee reports, something you may have noticed different this month over past months is that we wanted, out of an interest of transparency and providing stakeholders with more information, as we have done, has been suggested, I think, almost since the minute Lana came on the board, and making it easier for stakeholders to have access to what it is we're talking about. The committee reports came forward. It's worth noting that there was a report that also came from budget, but it was literally when I hit send to submit. So we'll clean that up. There's a couple missing, but they did submit them literally kind of on the wire of when I sent the agenda out, which I realized I hadn't told anyone when I sent the agenda out. For anyone who is interested, there were hot links in the agenda as well as the documentation of these committee reports was just they were physically attached to the agenda. So in fact, the whole agenda was, I believe, 21 pages, which included the minutes and these reports, etc. So with that, I know there was cultural affairs, for example. We can, well, I guess we could start at the top. For budget, we'll start there. Lana, if you want to give a quick report, I know that I didn't attach it. And we'll go from there to if any board member has a question for the reports that are attached, and we'll kind of go through that way. So go ahead, Lana.
Okay, just one moment. I do have it written down here. And, hey, Paula, I'm about to give a report, so if you could just watch the noise for a minute. Yeah, sure. Okay, great. Hi. Let's see. The Studio City Neighborhood Council Budget Committee, it has a tentative scheduled meeting date of this coming Monday, July 20th at 6 p.m. I am working on the agenda and it will be sent out in the next couple of days. There are currently several members on the committee with 2 other invitations out right now. As the chair of the budget committee, I have participated recently in the online training from the city clerk's office on neighborhood council funding to be better informed on the policies and procedures. It is recommended that all council members participate in this training. It is not required, but is suggested so that each member would be better informed about the process of funding, so that when a request is made, there will not be as many confusions to mitigate if you know something arises. Okay. There is a link to the city clerk's workshop and training session that's included in this information that I've sent to Randy. And in addition, I will be serving as the budget representative for the Studio City Neighborhood Council to the budget advocate for Region 4, which is Brandon Pender, whom you heard from tonight. And finally, for any of the Studio City Neighborhood Council committees that foresee a need for funds, please research your costs and provide a breakdown of where any allocated funds will be used before you make your request to the budget committee. We would like to ask that you would notify me to make a formal presentation to the committee along with this information. And especially our outreach group, who most often is delegated the largest portion of our funds. I'd really like to know about, you know, any of the campaigns or the areas where you might foresee spending your bulk of this budget for maybe some online virtual events, any materials or mailers or any advertising, that would be really helpful in setting up the budget allocation for that. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions on that for Lana from the board?
I can make a quick comment, and that's that, Lana, we're waiting on word from the printer as for materials. There are plans for banners, and we're getting new vinyl banners, possibly some other stuff, Studio City branded stuff. We're talking about a mailing, still in the early stages of that and what it's going to look like. But there are things in the pipeline. It's just we're waiting for numbers from our printer before we
Sure.
can
That's really great. In addition,
Question regarding the banners?
Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry, please, Richard.
Not a problem. I was waiting for approval. Polite suggestion based on past experience with hanging the banners. And Arnold's a great guy, but I'm not sure he can make them. But if we could make the banners tall enough, bottom to top, to cover two of the rails there at Laurel Canyon and Moore Park, so that the banners are slightly more visible and much more supported, it would improve the impact of the banners. And if you can't do that, then as good as Arnold's has been to this neighborhood council the whole time I've been with us, we might look for another banner producer, just because if he doesn't have technical capacity, he doesn't have it. But other than that, we can get just anything we want from Arnold with, he'll do it and send us a bill. We send the bill to downtown, everything's good. And on the same vein, I still have a whole pile of business cards here from back before Chi-Com crud. And somebody in charge needs to get to me about how you want to distribute them. I'll drive them around town, drop them off everybody's houses if you want me to. I'm done.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, so any other questions for Lana? I just want to keep us kind of on budget, and we'll get outreach momentarily. So
okay,
Richard,
my bad.
No, no worries.
I think we should try to, whenever possible, use local Studio City vendors. Thank you.
duly noted. Thank you, Richard.
Okay, moving along to bylaws. Did anyone have any questions regarding the bylaws report? Nancy, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
I just guess I want to say to the stakeholders, if anyone's interested in participating on the bylaws committee, let me know. I'm looking to add a couple more if they were interested. That's it.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Cultural Affairs, Richard Niederberg, I know you had mentioned you had a quick report.
Very little report. We're going forward, and we'll probably be using the library again when it reopens for different programs, seminars, and we're moving toward the culture side of cultural affairs for your recommendation. And we're still online to do something at the end of the year. Other than that, basically, we just try to stay on top of that, preferring activities that are not on the campus with CBS, but activities in the field to serve the stakeholders east, west, north, and south Studio City. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Any questions for Cultural Affairs from board members? Okay, seeing none, we then
Hey,
have...
Paula, I'm done with my report.
Lana, you're not muted. Just moving right along. We already heard from Public Safety actually a little bit earlier. There was no extended report for that. Outreach Committee, hopefully you've had the opportunity to see Michael's committee report. Were there any questions to his report or anything that, so we'll start there, I guess. Anything you wanted to add to your report, Michael?
No, we're moving forward, and I'd invite the public to participate in the committee. Even if you're not going to be on the committee, please show up, because this is your committee and we're here to serve you.
Great, thank you so much. We have, I guess I'm not actually going in alphabetical order. Land use, was there anything, you already spoke a little bit about the motion, but was there anything else you'd like to add? I know your committee was, the report was great. There was a lot of material covered in your report. I didn't know if there was anything you wanted to add or any questions from board members.
Well, I just wanted to bring more attention to the housing bills that are listed in my report with the links attached. So I invite the public to really take these housing bills really seriously, follow the links, educate yourself on them, attend the community plan update meetings as well, because a few of the bills are being addressed in the community plan update that's being worked on. And also get in touch with Assembly Member Nazarian's office. You heard Logan at the top of the meeting announcing the bills, and he will be able to be great help with that. I'm going to go ahead and set up a meeting for myself and a newly appointed committee member to land use, Adele Slaughter, who's helping me greatly staying on top of these bills. She has a lot of information. She's been doing the research that's needed for us to come together, put a letter together, as well as approaching Councilmember Krikorian's office, trying to find out what his position on some of these bills are, and making sure that the ones that are great and need to pass, and the ones that we oppose just get shut down. So get involved. Would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Are there any other questions perhaps for Elisa regarding this? Okay, no, seeing none. Transportation Committee will have to stand on its own. Barry wanted to be here. We all know how great Barry is and attentive he is to all things SCNC. He has to get up, I think it's like at 2 in the morning or something like that. So he unfortunately was, as he said to me in an email, he had to go to bed. It's just past 6. So with that, we'll let it stand. I see, let's see here. There's something in the chat, which I think is from Patty Kirby. Oh, as it relates, I'll just refer this to you, Lana. There was a question about budget requests. Does it need to be made from a committee before going to the budget committee? The answer, actually, I can answer it. The answer is, if, let's say, Patty, if you're referring to, for example, public safety would talk about something that perhaps they want to make an expenditure on, they would then send, and Nancy will correct me if I'm wrong, they will then take whatever they have passed, but instead of going first to the board, it would go from, in this scenario, public safety would then go to budget, that there's a budget request coming from the Public Safety Committee. If the budget committee passes it, then the budget committee would send that up to say, we have a budget request coming from public safety. Here you go, board, for you to decide. Nancy, did I get that right? It's mostly good enough for government work. So good. All that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it is 9:37 p.m. Unless there are any other comments by board members, I'll make a, oh, yes, sir, Rick Sir. Oh, yes, where are my manners? You are our treasurer, sir. Please go right ahead.
Not yet.
Yourself.
You have to unmute yourself, Rick.
Probably 1 minute left.
I'll know more after the budget meeting. I don't have much to report. There wasn't that much activity.
Thank you so much, Rick. And I know that I'm sure that you and Lana will be a great tag team as it relates to the fiduciary responsibilities for the SCNC.
One unrelated comment.
Sure, go.
Just everybody be careful out there. If you believe in the COVID, the number of cases has doubled, more than doubled since our last meeting. 150 cases in Studio City. And Sherman Oaks, North Hollywood, Encino, it's all pretty much the same. They keep brewing out there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. I will echo.
And I've got 15 seconds.
Please go right ahead, Richard. Please go ahead.
I gave up worrying about being safe the day I raised my right hand and went off to Fort Benning, Georgia, to join the infantry. Safe is, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Until then, I live my life. Everybody else gets to choose the same. Everyone gets to choose their life and how they live it. And I salute everybody's choice, and I protect everyone's choice.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. I will echo Brian Carroll, what he has said at our last meetings, because I think it was very wise. Stay safe, stay healthy. And with that, 9:38, I'd like to motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Roll call vote. Roll call vote.
Oh, my.
Oh, Richard. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it. We'll all be in touch. Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank